from Butler County, Pennsylvania, and there's a lot of Pennsylvanians that are interested in what we're doing here this week, but they're sort of preoccupied. They've got a gubernatorial race where we don't really have a choice at all. We have a Democratic candidate who's supposed to win this thing, who's taking money from the coal industry, or gas industry. We've got a Republican governor that's proven that he's in bed with the gas industry, and we've got a long legacy of exploitation. We've got coal. The first place that an commercial oil well was drilled is 30 miles from my home.
30 miles from your home.
Now, Maggie Henry, many of you have already met. She spent the night at St. Stephen's. Maggie Henry's an organic farmer in Lawrence County, which is in the western part of the state. She's an organic farmer. Maggie Henry is surrounded by a well, a processing plant, pipelines, and natural gas power plant is going in near her. She had to give up her business because the ground around her is contaminated with all the gas that comes down and just settles on it. So she is no longer an organic farmer. She's a very angry farmer. Yes.
Hi everyone, my name is Faith. Hi, Faith. I walked from New Mexico to the Ohio-Pennsylvania border, and I would have liked to have walked 2,000 miles from New Mexico to DC, but when I reached the Ohio-Pennsylvania border, I realized I had to go home. And I went home early because the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, which we shut down today for a part of the day, they approved the methane storage project part of the Seneca Lake gas storage facility. And the company that is running that facility is from Texas. And they want to store methane and liquefied petroleum gas in the salt caverns beneath the western shore of Seneca Lake, which are not designed for that type of storage. Yes, and they are very unstable, and it puts the Finger Lake community at risk. So I went home, and I'm one of the main organizers for the resistance there now, and I'd love to see some of you show up later. And as for the climate march, a couple of stories I guess I have from walking across the country. When we were in Colorado, one of the first days in Colorado, we encountered a farmer while we were walking, and we were coming up an old dirt road, and this farmer was driving by on his tractor. His name was Jeremy. And when we asked him, because we asked a lot of people, is there a message you want us to take to the White House? He said, my mama always taught me that if I didn't have anything nice to say, I shouldn't say it at all. And then one story that I'll never forget and will always be in my heart is when we traveled to Southeast Chicago after having a very successful rally in Chicago. And when we got down to Southeast Chicago into a low-income minority community, we came across a community that was being affected by petroleum coke storage facilities. And to call them storage facilities is honestly giving them too much credit, because they were stored out in open air. And so every time the wind blew, the pet coke dust would be blown either into the river or into the community. And so the Little League games in this community were regularly canceled because the children couldn't breathe. And they have higher than normal rates of asthma there, and nothing is being done. Absolutely nothing. And, okay. And when we went through that community, I was silent at the time. I was taking on a vow of silence to honor those who have no voice in this movement. And I had to, there was so much emotions I felt in that time. I could just see the pain in these people's eyes and all that they had been through, and it broke my heart. And that pain welled up inside of me, and there was nothing I couldn't express it because I was silent. But that's exactly what they're going through, is they're being silenced. They don't have the money to pay people to represent what they want them to represent, and they don't have the social standing to speak out and really be paid attention to. So they were in effect silenced, and I experienced that with them, and they will always be in my heart, and I have them with me, and I think about them in every action that I do. Thank you. Thank you, Faith. Okay, great.
And to piggyback off of Faith's comment, my name is Sean, and I just got done with my march across the country. Thank you very much for coming in, and I love you. I remember when we were in Southeast Chicago, brain issues, all sorts of problems, and this flag was blackened. The black stars of the US of A blackened by pet coke. It was a beautiful image. It's disgusting how, it's just disgusting. Anyways, another thing that really drove me nuts on this march, it's crazy how the little things really drive me nuts, but we had the mayor of Gary, Indiana come visit us one morning. She visited us about 6 o'clock in the morning. It was pouring out. Her and her husband came inside the building to come say hello, meet with our mayor, and they left their car running. And that drove me crazy. So I went in, I turned her car off, and I left a note saying thank you for your support, but we need to turn off fossil fuels. It is absurd how can we expect them to take care of us and our air and our land and our water if they can't turn their car off for 2 seconds? Drives me crazy. Thank you, everybody.
Hey there,
Hey there, Democrats, we don't want your fracking